evening, this is BelGeode and we are back with some more Microsoft Flight Simulator Extreme Edition. And tonight, we're going to take a first look at a new plane. This is the TFDi Design 717-200. Now, this aircraft is nicknamed the Angry Puppy. If the fuselage looks familiar, it's of course because it's originally the MD-80 design, or at least the DC-9 design, which the MD-80 is popularly called the Mad Dog. So here we go, we got the Angry Puppy. Now, why am I flying this aircraft is the real question. It's been many, many years since I've flown any kind of airliner, or tube liner as we like to call them, but when I met these guys at FlightSimCon, TFDi Design that is, I was thoroughly impressed with their aircraft. I had to get it. Now, full disclosure, I did get a discount on it because of the fact that, you know, I did video for them, and of course I was at the FlightSimCon convention. But it is available now on their website, and of course the link is going to be below. So for my first look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through all of the systems to start up and get us flying. And we're going to fly from here, which is Pittsburgh International Airport, or KPIT. And we're going to go north to Niagara Falls in New York. So you can see I've got the usual setup here at KPIT. This, of course, is a modified KPIT. I've got my little house over there with my little maintenance hangar and the other little hangars that I keep my aircraft. So yes, we are going to be taking a very, very close look at this. So I'm going to warn you from now, if you're expecting a half-hour video, you might need to get some drinks and snacks because it's going to be a little bit longer than that. But first, let's take a look at the outside of the aircraft before we hop into the flight deck. And there goes our little Sierra dude there. We'll just bypass him altogether. Alright, so I've taken the liberty of doing a few things ahead of time before starting up here. So we can see that we've got a GPU plugged into the front here. And we'll just go around this side. You can see the detail that they put into this aircraft. It is amazing. They don't have any other liveries right now, although I did take a quick look at the aircraft CFG, and it does have entries for things like Delta and Hawaiian and I think Qantas Link. Those liveries aren't in there, so I don't know if that's something that's going to be coming. I have specifically requested a paint kit, or if there's no paint kit available, if someone can make a livery for AirTran, which is what I would like to use in the long term whenever I show videos of this aircraft. Alright, so we got our wing here. Look at our landing light. Look at that. It's so cool. It's just recessed into the wing there. We got our nav light. Everything looks fine there. We gotta watch out for these cones. I don't want to trip on them. Check the landing gear. Make sure everything looks sweet. Okay, gear looks good. Wheels are chocked. I forgot to check the front gear, but that looks good from here too. Take a quick peek inside the engine. Look at that. And the compressor fan blades do move, by the way. Got our air hooked up to the back, exactly as you would expect if you were to see this thing at an airport. We'll check out the port engine real quick. Oh wow, I never knew that's what it looked like from the back. Huh. You never get up close and personal with these things in real life, so don't really get an opportunity to see all of that stuff. But there we go, there's our port side engine. Looking sweet. And I'm about to bump my head into the wing. Flaps, ailerons, a whole 9 yards. There's our logo light back there. And there's our other landing light. And there's our other landing gear. Very nice. Very nice. Now, there's not too many negatives that I can say about this aircraft. However, one thing that I will call attention to, there is no cabin in the interior views of this aircraft. If you want to take a look at the cabin that they've kind of put together for this thing, you have to do it from the exterior view. Now, I'm using EasyDock 2.0. I do plan on switching to Chase Plane at some time in the very, very near future, but this is what I've got for right now. And let me just show you real quick. what the interior of the cabin looks like. Looks like something out of the 1930s here. I don't recall seeing seats like this in any AirTran flight, or Delta flight for that matter, that I've taken. And by the way, I did take a Delta 717 to FlightSimCon this year. That was the leg that you probably saw from Detroit to Bradley. I don't recall a cabin looking like this, but this is the cabin that we've got. I don't know if this is a work in progress, if they plan on fleshing out the cabin for the interior views, but there you go. That's what we got. And this is the part of the aircraft that we are most interested in, so we are going to go ahead and hop inside and see if we can get this puppy started, and I'll show you a couple of extra things that I added to my FSX Steam Edition to help me out with this process. We are now on board the 717. We're in the pilot seat, and just as before with the external cameras, I've used EasyDock 2.0 to make some internal cameras. So this is my pilot free look mode, and I can cycle through everything really quick here just to show you. So we've got a fixed look at the overhead, the glare shield, and all of the MFDs, as well as the FMCs, which is fully functional. Both of these FMCs function separately, but they can be linked as well. And then of course we have the pedestal with all of our throttle and everything else that we need. And then we jump over to the co-pilot's view, which currently is a fixed view. However, I do have a free look view that I have in here as well. Now you may notice this little thing on the side. I alluded to that in my video from FlightSimCon. This is the little quote-unquote iPad that is on either side. This is probably the most useful tool that comes with this aircraft, and this is going to help us out today in our startup and our flight. Alright, and then the last view that I have here is just a standard look around the cabin from the observer seat. You can use this in shared cockpit. That's one of the major reasons why I ended up purchasing this aircraft. I plan on doing videos with Flight Sim Guy and perhaps a third person as an observer from time to time, where we will take full control of this aircraft and just basically fly it around on some of the tours that may end up on his channel more so than on my channel. But I might put a few flights up. Okay, so before we go ahead and get started with our flight, I want to cut to SkyVector really quick and show you the flight path that we are going to be taking to get to Niagara Falls. Our flight path for today is going to start us out at the bottom of your screen at KPIT, where we're going to head west to the waypoints of Stowey and Namath before heading back east to the VOR EWC, by which time we should be at our cruise altitude since it's enough space for us to turn around. From EWC, we're going to continue heading north to Erie. The VOR is ERI, and then we're going to dogleg to the right past Erie Airport, across Lake Erie, and into the airways that will bring us in past Buffalo, when we should already be on our top of descent. And then we're going to make an exaggerated U-turn past the waypoints Rupke and Amon and Kathy, and then we're going to come in to land at Niagara Falls. Excellent. So now that we know where we're going, how we're going to get there, let's go ahead and see if we can go through the entire process to get this aircraft started up. I would say this thing is definitely in the study level category. However, it's a little bit easier than some of the study level aircraft that I have learned. Don't get me wrong, there are still a few quirks to this thing, as we're going to find out when we put in information into like the CDU and so on. But I love the fact that they modeled all of that stuff in there, because from what I hear, the real aircraft does that. Alright, so the first item on the list here, we're going to click on our little iPad to the left here, and I just love these little fingerprints messing up the screen there. That's pretty cool. Okay, so by default, I have this screen up because this is how I was able to put the ground power on and the ground air unit, as well as open some of the doors, add the cones and the wheel chocks. But if we click X in the upper right hand corner here, you'll see the main menu that is the default screen whenever you open this up. You can do this with the batteries on or off. So we have crew. Crew is what we use for shared cockpit flying. You set it up with the add-on manager app that they have that comes with this, which is also how you install and uninstall the aircraft itself into your various flight sims. Incidentally, this does work with FSX Boxed, FSX Steam Edition, Prepared version 2, version 3, and they're coming with version 4 shortly. So yeah, we would use this screen to connect to our shared cockpit. So that way we can have 3 people on board, pilot flying, pilot not flying, and observer. Documents, this is where the checklist is. Now, I'm going to pause here for a second to mention that the checklist that they gave us is a PNG file, which on this screen, even though you can zoom in and out, it's not as clear as I think it should be. So I have a solution for that we're going to be using for this startup here. But for the time being, we'll close that out. Alright, there we go. And then the last item here is status. This is going to come in handy when we start programming the FMC. This is where we get our zero fuel weight, our center of gravity, and our gross weight. You can also, by default, click one of the 3 red buttons here. So you can either set up as cold and dark, or you can go to ready to start, or you can set it up to ready to fly if you really don't want to go through the entire process. Since I've already warned you that this is going to be a long video, we're going through the entire process. Just as a heads up. Alright, but for right now, I will keep it on this because eventually I'm going to need to close the doors and get rid of the ground power and all of that. But the solution that I came up with for the quote-unquote kneeboard is to download a little app called PDF Kneeboard. It does exactly what it claims. It replaces the regular FSX kneeboard, so you press K and it will allow you to load in whichever PDFs you have downloaded on your computer anywhere and utilize that in the sim. You can resize the PDF kneeboard. You can change whichever file it is that you're looking at. You use the mouse wheel to scroll through the various pages, and so on and so forth. So what I've done here is part of the documentation that comes with this aircraft. I've loaded up the 717 documentation, which I'm going to be using for our pre-flight today. Alright, so first things first, we do have the GPU on, but we do not have any power whatsoever to the aircraft. So we're going to need to set the battery on and make sure that we have power going to all the systems that we need to. First thing we need to do, however, is we need to get this parking brake on. So you'll see it under the iPad. There we go. Parking brake is on. And let me just change views to my overhead view here. I think this thing will stay out of the way. Alright, so just going down the list really quick here. We're going to set battery to on. There we go. And we do have external power available, so we're going to go ahead and click that switch under there. We're also going to set the galley power to on, which is just to the right here. We don't need to worry about the APU as of yet. We will be starting that soon enough. Okay, so pretty much everything should be set. So we'll move on to the next page. Now it does say that the displays will take roughly 2 minutes to power on, so if we go back to our standard view here, you'll see everything is still pretty much dead except for the backup ADI, and of course the CDUs are on as well as the radios and so on, and transponder. Alright, it does say we need to set some lights on, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. I want my nav lights on. We'll keep the beacon light off for now until we're ready to start up, so by the time we do our pushback and all of that. One thing I do like to have are my dome lights, or my floodlights I guess you would say. So we'll go ahead and turn those on. There we have it. Okay, they do say that the left and right ground floodlight should be on, so we'll go ahead and click those on. There we go. So far, so good. Okay, so it's doing its little thing here. Everything should be coming on. It's doing a stick shaker test right now, so that was that noise that you were just hearing. It's funny, the stick shaker test, the self-test, is called the Integrated Standby Instrument System, or ISIS. I don't get it. I don't get it. Alright, but we have that up and running. So now we're going to need to go through all of the system tests, so bear with me here. I'm going to be jumping back and forth between cameras. Alright, so hydraulic system test. First things first, set the aux hydraulic pump on. That is this switch here. And set hydraulic transfer to on. That is this switch here. Now we need to verify we have 2800 psi or more in the hydraulic SD display. And I'll tell you how we can do that. I might need to move the knee board here for a second. Close that out. Okay, so to operate the displays, this is the SD display up here. Our button for that is going to be down here, the one on the end that says HYD. Click that. And we're looking for at least 2800. Yes, I would say we are good to go with that. Excellent. Excellent. So hydraulic test is a success. Okay, moving right along. Alright, so we can go ahead and turn these switches back off. So hydraulic pump will turn you off. And hydraulic transfer will turn you off. Okay, so next item on the list is the EGPWS test. That's our pull up kind of test. So I need to remember where exactly that switch is, so that way I can hit it. Ah, had to move the knee board. Okay, it is on the far right side. It says ground proximity warning. I'll try to zoom in a little bit to it. Okay, so we need to flip the switch and...
glide slope.
There we go.
Pull up. Terrain, terrain. Pull up. Sink rate. Pull up. Terrain. Don't sink. Don't sink. Too low. Gear. Too low. Flaps. Too low. Terrain. Glide slope. Bank angle. Bank angle. Too low. Terrain. Caution. Terrain. 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 Pull up.
Okay, so I'm going to assume that all works. This is great. Alright, next up, emergency power test. Verify left and right engine fuel valves are set to off. They are. Set emergency power to arm. Whoa, I want arm, not on. Holy crap. Verify on the EAD that emergency power test fail is not indicated. That is right under my engine gauges here. Okay, it does not say that, so we're good to go there. Leave in the arm position. Alright, so we're done with that. Wing ice detection test. Push wing ice detection to test and then release. Verify wing ice detection pass on EAD. Okay. That is up here. Ice protection is all on the right-hand side. So what we can do is we can move this little guy over here for the time being. And let's do our wing ice detection test. It says wing ice detection pass. Excellent. Alright, good deal, good deal. Fuel system test. That's going to be our next one. So we need to press and hold the fuel quantity test for 5 seconds and verify on the fuel SD display that there's 9,000 pounds displayed in total. Okay, so first things first, we want the fuel. There we go. As you can see, this is what we've got in the tanks for the flight, which we can also set up with that add-on manager program that runs in the background there. My center tanks are a little bit low, but I think we should have enough gas to get to Niagara Falls. Now, let's go ahead and get our test done. So the fuel quantity test is just about in the center of the screen, just to the right of the engine start switch. We'll go ahead and hold that down. Oh, wait, we have to do it for 5 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll let it go. We'll check to see what it says on our little thing here. Okay, I'm seeing 3,000, 3,000, and 3,000. Perfect, that works. That works. It does say 9,000 pounds, so we're good to go there. Okay, gear warning test. We need to unlock the gear handle, verify the gear annunciators are now displaying in red, and then lock the handle down. Easy to do. All you gotta do is click and pull on the handle. There we go. We got 3 red lights. Very good. Put it back in place. That works. Stabilizer trim test. Now that is an entirely different animal. So for that, we are going to need to go to the pedestal view down here. Just to the right of my knee board, you'll see something that says stabilizer trim with a little glass thing over there. Or I guess that's plastic. So we need to open the config display, which is that switch there. Verify that the yoke trim moves the stabilizer trim. So we'll pull our window up. And we're just going to basically trim the aircraft right now. You can see it's set to 0, so I'm going to move my trimmer pitch up. Yep. It's doing its thing. Set it back to 0. Okay, now the second part of the test is to inhibit the stabilization trim. So that little switch that we just pulled up, we're going to go ahead and click that. We'll go back up to this, and we'll try to trim it out again. I got nothing, brah. I got nothing. Okay, so that works. Alright, so now we can turn that back off. And we can also close the little lid. There we go. Same thing with the Alt long trim. It should still be able to move the stabilizers. That's basically what I've been hitting, but I have it linked to my joystick. It's those yellow switches smack dab in the center of your screen there. So we know that works. And we'll go ahead and leave everything as it is. Next thing is a transponder, a TCAS test. We're going to push TCAS mode to test. So that is this button right there next to our transponder. We'll verify TCAS elements on PFD and ND and listen for an audible TCAS test. Okay. Alright, so we'll go up. I don't really see any TCAS elements on there. It does say that the weather's off. TCAS fail. Oh, you know what? I don't think that we have our INS engaged just yet, so we're not initialized. So yeah, it might fail. Alright, so you know what? We'll just bypass that. Okay, oxygen masks. Very important if you're going to go flying in anything that's going over 10,000 feet. You must make sure you have oxygen. I do not know if this aircraft will model hypoxia or emergencies where you run out of oxygen or you run out of cabin pressure or whatnot, but I do know that they have modeled the actual oxygen system that we would use. So right over here in the corner, I can zoom into it, that's our oxygen mask for the pilot. There are 2 more in here. If you look on the far side, you will see the oxygen mask for the co-pilot and the oxygen mask for the observer. So we're going to test all 3 of these things really quick here, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the knee board so that I can hit everything easier. Alright, so we'll start with the pilot. First thing we have to do is push the little switch just to the upper right. There we go, we got a little blast of oxygen. Now we're going to turn it to emergency mode. And we're going to hit the switch again. We're getting a flow of oxygen. This is very good. We'll stop that and put it back to regular mode. And then we will do the same thing for the co-pilot. So let's just move our camera around here. Might be a little bit easier to operate that way. Alright, so co-pilot, we will give you a quick burst of air. That works. Put this to emergency mode, another burst. There we go, that works. And we need to do the same thing for our observer. So his is like all the way in the back. It's very difficult to reach here, so I think I'll have to do it from the pilot's seat. Alright, so we'll swing around. There it is. Way back here. We'll give him a quick burst. Assuming I can hit the button. There we go. Emergency mode. That works, baby. That works. Put it back to normal. Alright. So we are done with that test. And we're also done with this page, so we'll move on to the next page. Okay, so the next page is going to be discussing the pre-flight overview. This would normally be where we're doing our interior and exterior inspection. We've already done our walk around of the aircraft, so we're going to skip a lot of that stuff. We do need to have the emergency lights set to on to verify that they do work, so that will be back up here. Alright, so where were we? Emergency lights. Right now they are set to the off position. So we're going to arm them. We're going to turn them on. Make sure that they did in fact come on. It's very difficult to see since in my sim it's morning. But you can see some of the textures changed a little bit to indicate that the emergency lighting is currently on. Incidentally, I'm not quite sure how I feel about the textures. The color bleed over seems to be a little bit off-putting, so I don't know if that's an area of opportunity that TFDi can work on. But at least it tells us for sure that the emergency lights are on, which is what we were looking for. So we'll go ahead and put that back to arm. There we go. We're good to go. Alright, the oxygen masks we've already tested. Voice recorder. All the way at the top of your screen is a little black button next to a little red button. If we hold down on the black button, we'll wait for a green status light to come on that indicates that the cockpit voice recorder is working. Next test, since we're up here on the panel, is a cargo smoke test. This is a fun one. Betty loves this one. Real easy. It's on the far left hand side underneath the 2 yellow squares. You'll see those 4 red squares. Hit the button to the left.
Cargo smoke. Cargo smoke.
And let's verify.
Cargo smoke. Cargo smoke.
Yep, we do have cargo smoke warnings.
Cargo smoke.
And our master warning is on.
Cargo smoke. Cargo smoke.
Okay. Very good job, Betty.
Cargo smoke. Cargo smoke.
Alright, so that is off. You'll be hearing a lot from Betty today. Okay, air conditioning panel test. Let's see. We want to set the isolation valve to open. Where is it set right now is the real question. Okay, that's closed. That's open. That's auto. So we want it to open. Set LPAC and RPAC to on. So auto is on, I believe. Okay, there we go. And everything looks to be good there, so that's fine. That is fine. Alright, I'm going to set you back to auto. We'll turn you back on. Not a problem. Ice protection panel is to the right, and we've already checked the wing ice detection. However, we are going to need to go through all of the other stuff here. So I'm going to set up our anti-ice to on, our wing ice protection to on, tail ice protection to on, and windshield ice protection to on. I'm not going to worry about the engine icing until we take off. And truth be told, the temperature outside should be warmer than 6 degrees Celsius, so we probably won't even need these guys on. So I'm going to go ahead and turn them off right now. There we go. That was a wasted step. Alright, annunciator lights test. That is our next thing on the menu. To do the annunciator lights test, we're going to be in the co-pilot seat, and the switch is off to the right-hand side of our overhead here. You'll see it says Annun LT, and then there's pull to dim, and also test. Okay, so everything should be lit up like a Christmas tree. Yep, we got our master warning, our master caution, we got just about everything on that could possibly be on. It's all flashing and doing its fun stuff there, so we know that that works. This is good. This is very good.
Tower, sundown 214 miles east inbound ILS, runway 28 left approach. Sundown 214 Pittsburgh Tower, continue runway 28 left, altimeter 29991. Continue runway 28 left.
Okay, moving down. Alright, so at this point in time we can get our passenger signs on, so the no smoking, the seat belt sign, and all of that good jazz here. So we'll go ahead and switch it back up to the overhead view. And those switches are, of course, all the way to the front, so no smoking. I think that's already... Oh, it isn't on. Okay, there it is. They're on now. Good deal.
Sundown 214, cleared to land, runway 28 left, followed from F-14 on final.
Okay.
Runway 28 left, Sundown 214.
And I noticed there's a lot of F-14 traffic coming into this airport today. I don't know what's up with that. It's like the Sundowners are in town. Alright, flight control panel controls. Basically just make sure everything looks kosher. Yes, it does. We will, of course, change all of that once we put everything into the FMC. Altimeter, we want to make sure that our altimeter is correct. So, with that in mind, the next thing that I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to contact the ATIS. So let's go ahead and get rid of the knee board for right now.
Pittsburgh Airport information, Zulu 1425 Zulu, wind 240 at 12, visibility greater than 20 miles, sky conditions altitude 10,000 scattered, temperature 26, 2.13, altimeter 2991, ILS, runway 28, left ILS, runway 28, right in visual, runway 28, center, landing and departing, runway 28, left runway 28, right in runway 28, center. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Zulu.
Okay, good deal. So we have information Zulu, and our altimeter is 29.901, which I have already set. So we are good to go there. Alright, moving on to the next item on our menu. Flight and navigation instruments. We need to align the IRS. Okay, so it's also at this point in time that we're going to start putting in information into the CDU. This is probably where it's going to take the longest for me because I am not a very fast button pusher in the sim. However, to align the IRS, you see those switches with the yellow lights on top that say nav off. We're simply going to right click on this one and right click on that one. And I just realized there's some grubby fingerprints all over this knob. This is the kind of stuff that I really enjoy, folks. I'm really glad they did this. Really, really glad. And look at the little smiley face, too. That's cool. It's those little things that mean a lot. Alright, but it is now FMC time. So, bear with me as I go ahead and load up our flight plan for this flight today. Okay, so to pull up the CDU, it's real easy. You simply click on the screen of one of the two CDUs. And remember, they can operate independently. So if you're in a shared cockpit, both you and your co-pilot can manually enter in CDU information. Now, one thing that I'm not 100% certain of is whether or not they've updated the nav information. It seems like they have, but maybe it's just this particular flight that I'm on. I was able to find all the waypoints in there. So we're going to run through the process here. There is documentation for the CDU as well, so you can always refer to that PDF, or you can pull it up in the little kneeboard thing that I showed you how to use. Alright, so to get started, first thing we need to do is we need to click on FMC 1, and then we're going to go to Flight Plan Init. And of course, the very first thing that we're going to need to enter in is the airports that we're traveling from and going to. So in this case, it's KPIT. We're going to put a slash in there, of course. And we are going to Niagara Falls, which the ICAO code for that is KIAG. And we're going to enter that into the topmost right button. Return to Flight Plan Init. And you'll notice that it's changed slightly once we get back to this screen. In addition to having our departure and arrival airports, it now says Initialize IRS, and it has an asterisk next to it. We're going to need to click the button that corresponds to that. So there we go. It does take a full 10 minutes to initialize the IRS system. However, in the add-on module, there is a way that you can shorten that time if you really don't want to sit here for, a full 10 minutes. Okay, so the other stuff that we're going to need to enter in are going to be our cruise altitude, which I've selected, flight level 200, so we're going to put that in there. Cost index, we'll run with a standard figure, 35. There we go. Our flight number that the ATC is going to refer to us as is Boeing 720. So we'll punch that in there. And everything else is pretty much set to go. We really shouldn't need to add anything else in there. So we can move on to the next page, which is going to be the weight unit page. So we'll hit the little page button here. Now this is where the little iPad that's in the cockpit is going to come in handy. So we'll get off of this screen and we'll put it back to the status window. And you'll see that we have a number of numbers that we can enter into our CDU. So just so you're aware, let me switch the EasyDock view here. And of course I've got to open up the CDU again. Okay. Just so you're aware, the numbers are right there. So we have center of gravity, which is 23.5, gross weight, which is 102.6, and zero fuel weight, which is 91 pounds. So we're going to enter those into 3 of the spots in the CDU. So let's see. I think that we should start with our center of gravity. Let me put it back to this screen here, because this is a fixed view, so I can move my mouse around without worrying too much about it. Okay, so center of gravity we said was what? 23.5. 23.5. And that goes into TOCG. And don't you turn yourself off, I need you. Alright, next item up for bids, gross weight, which goes in TOGW. That is 102.6. 102.6. There we go. And zero fuel weight is 91.0. 91.0, which goes in blast in ZFW. There we go. And you'll see it starts calculating all the rest of the stuff there for you. Alright, so we're pretty much done with that page, so we're good to go there. I'm going to go ahead and click this off, and we'll put it back onto this screen, because at this point in time, our guys have finished loading cargo. So we can click that. It says transitioning, and then it's closed. And we can close the front door as well, too. We have our passengers in, so that's also transitioning. And now it's closed. We'll leave the GPU and the air unit on as well. Okay. So, next page, fuel init. So we'll hit the page button again, and that goes to that. Now, we really don't need to do too much in this page. If we were carrying extra fuel, like if Niagara Falls was not our final stop, we had to go to another location, we would punch in the extra fuel number in the blast fuel, and it will recognize that. But for now, we can actually just bypass that and head straight to our flight plan. Alright, so there we go. We've got our top of climb, we've got our top of descent. What we don't have are all the waypoints in between. This is where EasyDock, or excuse me, not EasyDock, SkyVector is going to come in handy for me. I already have everything on SkyVector loaded in, so that's what I showed you before. I did not do a standard flight plan in FSX, so we will not be utilizing that for our flight today. Alright, so to start with, what we want to do, we want to go to KPIT, click the button to the left of that, and that'll give us our SIDS. So we'll click on SIDS, and we're probably going to need to scroll down to find runway 28 right, which most likely is the runway that they're going to give us. There we go. We don't have a transition waypoint, so we're just going to simply insert that there. And you can see it now changes from KPIT to runway 28 right. Perfect. That's what I'm looking for. Incidentally, when we get to Niagara Falls, we are also going to be coming in on the same runways. So we can go star, and we can select 28 right. We're going to go with the ILS here. So there it is, 28 right. We're going to insert that. Bam, there we go. So we're coming in 28 right, we're taking off 28 right, 2 different airports. It's already calculated what our top of climb is going to be and our top of descent, but we still need to put in the waypoints. So let's go ahead and do that really quick here. And I'm going to move over to the second monitor and punch in our actual waypoints. So to start with, we're going to go with Stowey, which is just to the west of Pennsylvania, right along the border between Pennsylvania and Ohio. So S-T-O-W-E. and we're going to put it where it says flight plan discontinuity. I can never pronounce that word, damn it. Okay, next one that we want is Namath, which is N-A-M-T-H. Shove you in there. There we go. And you can already see it's building the flight plan on our MFD there. Or ND, if you prefer to call it that. Next waypoint is going to be a VOR, that is EWC, which is Elwood City. Now, about that point, I am thinking we should be at our top of climb. So you'll notice it automatically punches in our top of climb just before we get to Elwood City. Perfect. That works fine for me. So from Elwood City, we're going to dogleg to the left, and we're going to go to the next VOR, which is Erie, which is E-R-I, and we'll punch you in. There we go. Now we're going to have to slide down here. Okay, there we go. Alright, so from Erie, we're going to go to a waypoint called MyPal, which is just south of Ontario. So M-Y-P-A-L. There it is. Alright. And that should start our top of descent. Just past Erie, about 5 miles after we pass Erie, we should be coming down to head to MyPal. So from MyPal, the next waypoint that we're going to want is going to be Wella, which is not too far off from MyPal. It's just like a little short transition waypoint. I'm assuming we should be probably around 15,000 or so, but we'll find out what it says once we punch it in. So Wella, which is actually close to Welland, Ontario, which is where my daughter's mom is from.
With information, Bravo. Request taxi IFR. Eagle Flight 3138. Taxi holding flight for runway 28 center. Via taxiway Victor 6 Echo. Contact tower on 1.
Alright guys, stop talking please. Okay, so after Wella, SkyVector says that we need to go over the Buffalo VOR, which is B-U-F. There we go, that's in. So you can see it's already calculating what altitudes we're going to need to be at when we get there. So from Buffalo, this is our star. So we've got Rupke, R-U-P-K-E. Punch you in there. There we go. And after Rupke, we're going to take a turn to Eman. E-H-M-A-N. Very good, very good. And then the last waypoint that we're going to be passing is going to be Cathy, which is K-A-T-H-I. Right there. Okay, so it's now saying that there are 2 Cathy waypoints available, which is what inclines me to believe that they did in fact update the nav data for this aircraft. So we're going to choose the first one, which is 169 nautical miles away. And there we go, it punches it in. And believe it or not, that is everything that we need for our flight plan. So the last thing we need to do is get rid of this discontinuity by hitting clear and the line that the discontinuity is in. So there it is. Okay. So that is our flight plan, and it is pretty much set up. We can check the range. Yep, everything looks like it's linked together. Very nice. We could step through it, but I always forget what the button is to step through it, so I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm going to accept the fact that everything is where it should be. Okay. Now, there's only a couple more things that we need to do to get everything set up here. And the last things that we're going to need to do, we're going to need to set up our takeoff page. So we'll go to takeoff, approach. Alright, now we are not derating this takeoff, I don't think. I don't think there's much of a need to derate the takeoff because we've got a lot of runway to deal with here. So we can probably leave the flex blank. Actually, you know what? I think I am gonna. Let's put in 40% for the flex. Alright, there we go. Or 40 degrees, excuse me. And then the last thing, which is relatively important here, is going to be the flaps, the outside temperature, and the slope/wind. Outside temperature we got from the ATIS earlier. We know that it's about 26 degrees, and that is Celsius. There is a way that we can check in case we forgot what they said in the ATIS. Instead of pulling up the ATIS again, you can push the button that says Prog, and it says it right there. If you look in the first column, about the fourth one down, 26 degrees Celsius. So to enter that in, we're going to enter in 26, and we have to have the C. There it is, outside air temperature. Flaps, takeoff flaps for this aircraft is 13, so we can punch that in now. There we go, flaps 13. And then the last item is slope wind. I'm going to explain that for a second here. It has to be formatted a certain way. That determines whether or not there's a runway slope and a crosswind component. In this instance, we already know that we've got a pretty stiff headwind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter in the default figures for no sloping runway, since of course all the FSX runways are flat, and 1 knot head crosswind. So to do that, we're going to simply enter 0/1. You can make that a -1 if you have a tailwind, but we have a headwind, so we're going to punch that in right there. And it's asking me to check and confirm our V-speed, so our V1 is going to be 124. I'm okay with that. Our VR is going to be 130. I'm okay with that. And our V2 is 138. So remember those speeds. And believe it or not, folks, that is it. Our CDU is just about ready to go. So we can put it back on the flight plan page, and we're set. Only thing we have to do now is start up the APU and then start up the aircraft and get the heck on out of here. Okay. There's one more test that we can do before we engage the APU, and that is our weather radar test. So what we're going to need to do is set WX mode to test and verify that there are colors on the ND. So go ahead and do that real quick here.
Monitor radar display. Go around. Wind shear ahead. Wind shear ahead. Wind shear ahead.
He sounds very concerned about that. Okay, but the test is complete, so we'll go ahead and turn that back off. We can also set our trim, which, if you recall, it's in the CDU. So if we go back to that takeoff and approach page, you'll see where it has flaps 13 and trim is currently set to 3.3. So that is what we're going to want to do. So we'll go ahead and close that back out. I already have it on the correct page, so I'm just going to manually use my joystick control for the trim, and we'll want to set that to 3.3. Eh, 3.2 is close enough. What if I hit it in one more time? Yeah, it looks like 3.2 is as close as we're going to get. Okay, but that works. That works. Incidentally, this second FMC, now that we've got everything programmed in, we can click on that and go to flight plan in it, and we can pull up the flight plan. So there we go. It's already linked. Because I took the time to enter everything in, it's in there. Alright, we'll also set that back to that. Okay, so it is APU time. And let me get that kneeboard page up and running here. Okay, so we are preparing for pushback. Alright, first things first, let's go to the overhead here. So we need to set the right aft pump to on. That will be this guy right here at the bottom center of your screen. APU master then needs to go to start. APU is all the way to the left side, just below that cargo smoke with the 4 red boxes. So we'll click you down once, we'll click you down twice and hold you for a second. So the APU should be starting up right now. APU air, we want to make sure that's on. And let's see if we have activity on the APU. Look to the screen to your right. You will see the APU is coming up right now. It's at 29, 30, 33. Oh, it's just going all over the place here. This is good. I like this. As soon as we have 100% on the APU, I'll go ahead and turn off the ground power. We'll disconnect the ground power and then, of course, verify that it is in fact gone. And then we will get everything else set up. Okay, so we've got 100% RPM on the APU. And yes, it does say that the APU is on, so we can go ahead and disconnect. Well, what did I do? Did the wrong thing. We need to turn the APU on first and then disconnect that. Son of a bitch, I did it again. Okay, luckily everything is still going. Wait, is the APU still on? That's a good question. No, the APU turned itself back off. Well, crap. This is why we follow checklists, folks. Luckily, I can edit that part out. Okay, the APU is at 100%, so we'll go from external power to APU power. And now that we have that on and running, we can go ahead and turn off our external GPU. Okay, so the external GPU power is off. Let's just verify. Let's see. Okay. I had my emergency power on for some reason. Never noticed that before, but it's off now. Okay, so now that we have the APU on and running, we can get rid of the ground air and the ground power. So we'll get rid of the ground power unit first, ground air unit second. Both of those items should have gone bye-bye. We'll leave the cones and wheel chocks on because there's still a couple things that we need to do. Most notably, we need to make sure that our air is set up as well. I currently have that set to auto, which I believe is where it needs to go. I haven't figured out the takeoff and landing for the cabin pressure as of yet, which is currently behind the knee board. But it looks like the valve's open, so I'm assuming that means we're going to be fine. Alright, so continuing with our list. Okay, disconnect external air, remove wheel chocks and cones. We'll do that in a second. APU air is available 2 minutes after start. Okay, well, we've already got APU air, so we're good to go there. Hydraulic panel. We need to set the left and right hydraulic pumps to on. So that's... Whoop, oh, it was already on. Wow. Looks like by default it's on. Okay, so those are all on. Aux and hydraulic transfer. We'll go ahead and get you guys on. Set all the fuel pumps to on. Okay, all fuel pumps are now on. TCAS mode goes to alt on. TCAS mode is down here. Let me just remind you. So we'll click you there. There we go. Alt on. Okay, windshield anti-ice should be on as well. And now is a good time to turn the beacon on as well. So, windshield, anti-ice, anti-fog, and anti-ice. Beacon, all the way at the bottom, we'll turn you on. Okay, and it looks like everything is good to go. Let's see if there's any warnings. It says something about air. I don't know what the source is on that. APU, air, and electric on. Okay. Let's take a look at our air real quick here. Okay, the packs. Go ahead and turn those on. And I think that should do it. No, it still says air. Alright, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. As long as it works, it works. Okay, now would be a great time to get rid of those cones and wheel chocks. We'll take a quick look outside the aircraft here. Everything looks cool. I like it. I like it. Okay, so we are just about ready for pushback. Now, just to go over the engine start sequence for you, it's pretty freaking easy. We already have all the fuel pumps on, so the only thing we need to do is hit the main fuel switches, which are underneath the throttle there. And of course, we need to turn the actual engines on, which are going to be these two switches with the red tops right there. We'll do that on pushback. We'll start with the right engine, and then we'll go to the left engine. Okay, but let's go ahead and call the tower over there and see if we can get clearance to takeoff. We're doing this VFR, even though we do have a flight plan in there, so I'm going to say we are departing to the north. Pittsburgh ground, Boeing 720, ready to taxi, departure to the north with Delta.
Boeing 720, taxi holding point for runway 28, right, via taxiway November. Contact tower on 135.025 when ready.
Sounds good to me. Taxiing, hold short, runway 28 right, using taxiway November, Boeing 720. Hey, look at that plane over there. Huh, it's probably going around. Okay, we won't need the cheat sheet because I know exactly where runway 28 right is in relation to where we are right now. It's literally straight down that direction. Alright, so now would be a great time to do our pushback, and then we'll also do our engine start. I do not have GSX or anything like that, so this is going to be the best pushback ever without a pushback truck. We'll get the brakes off, and we'll push back. So I gotta say, folks, so far I am really enjoying this aircraft. I've only taken it up a couple of times. This would be my third flight with it to show you this first look. But everything about this plane is just so incredibly detailed and so phenomenally done. I really can't find too much to complain about. Like I said, some minor stuff here and there, the way the cabin looks, some of the night lighting textures. But that's all gravy as far as I'm concerned. Alright, and I think since I pressed the parking brake after I pressed the pushback, it's probably not going to turn us to the right. So let me do this. We'll stop the pushback, and then we'll start the pushback again, and simply hit number 2. So that should start us veering off to the right a little bit there. We can't go back further than the helipad there, otherwise that could be a problem. There's also some KC-135s behind me, so I'd rather not hit one of them. Hey, there's one right now. Okay. While we're pushing back, let's go ahead and get the engine started. So we'll start with engine number 2. And I want to say we probably need to have bleed air on for engine number 2, so we'll go ahead and put that to auto. Okay, looks like engine 2 is running up, so we'll go ahead and stop our pushback right here. We'll go ahead and put the parking brakes back on. Okay, looks like engine 1 is coming up. This is very good, very good. Now would be a great time to set our flaps, so let's go to our co-pilot view real quick here. Alright, Mr. Co-Pilot, give me flaps 13, please. Okay, we're looking good, and engine 1 should be up and running right now. Yep, there we go. We're at about 70 on oil pressure. Looking good, looking good. Let's go ahead and start engine number 1. We'll add fuel to the mix. We'll wait for that to pop up. Okay, while we're waiting for that, let me open up the knee board here and make sure that everything is where it should be. Okay, engine ice protection, we are not going to need. Air, we need to set LPAC and RPAC on, and actually that reminds me, I forgot to do something. We need our bleed switch to auto. While we're up here, we might as well make sure that everything is on and running. So LPAC, RPAC are both at auto, which I'm assuming is also on, so we're fine there. Isolation valve goes to auto, that's already there. APU air can go to off. Where is my APU air? It is right there. Okay. And I would imagine we would also turn the APU itself off. However, I'm not seeing that. Generators we definitely want to get on, so let's go ahead and put that one on and that one on. So now we're no longer dependent on the APU. And with that having been done, we can turn this off. Oh wait, this generator is still not up and running as of yet. What's the story on this engine? Are you coming up, or what are you doing here? Oh my god, it takes forever to turn on. Okay, so we'll turn that back on. We'll leave that on APU. It's still in the start process for that engine, that's what it is. Okay, let's see if it actually started up or if I've got to redo it. Needs air. Okay, APU air back on. I might need to restart engine 1, because it looks like I prematurely turned everything off. Hey, this is how you learn. Okay, APU is up, start air pressure is low. We've got air, we've got the APU running, we've got this, we've got that. Let's turn that back off. And let me just verify something here. Okay, yeah, that's at 0. So we'll pull that back on. We already have fuel going to the mixture. And let's see if everything pops up. This is the fun part, making sure that we've started everything correctly. Start air pressure is low. Alright, we might need to turn the packs off. Alright, buddy, what are you doing here? Yep, I'm only getting juice out of the right engine. I got nothing out of the left. Okay, that generator is off. APU is running. APU air is on. What if I turn the bleeds off? Curiouser and curiouser. Okay, why are you not working here? Let's try this again.
Pittsburgh, ground, Cactus Niner, 906, request taxi to the field. Cactus Niner, 906, taxi to San Bravo, 4-3, via taxiway, Foxtrot 2, Foxtrot, Victor, Victor 5. Taxiing to San Bravo, 4-3, via taxiway, Foxtrot 2, Foxtrot, Victor, Victor 5. Cactus Niner, 906. Pittsburgh, ground, Gas 37, with information echo, request taxi IFR. Gas 37, taxi holding point for runway 28, right, via taxiway Victor 2, Victor, Victor 1, Charlie, Bravo 1.
Alright, left and right bleed should be at auto, isolation should be at auto. So prior to that, isolation should be open.
Victor 2, Victor, Victor 1, Charlie, Bravo 1, Gas 37.
There we go. We got signs of life, folks. We got signs of life. Sometimes it's the simple things that you miss that can make all the difference. And especially in an aircraft like this that's so well designed, yeah, you got to do it by the numbers. That was my bad for disconnecting the APU before the actual start procedure was complete. So, but it looks like we were able to recover. Engine 1 is coming up quite nicely. Let's check from the outside to be sure. Okay, looks like engine 1 is up to speed. This is very good, and I need to set this back up here. Okay, there's our flight plan. Very good. Now we can concentrate on getting the APU off. The light has extinguished itself from the engine start, so I'm pretty sure we are safe to do this time. So we'll go ahead and get the generator on first. And we will turn the APU off. There we go. APU air will also go off. Packs, turn you guys on. Bleeds, turn you guys on. Put you to auto. And we can finally turn the APU off. Alright. While we're up here, let's get that taxi light going. Okay. I think we are ready to go. Barring anything unforeseen, we can now taxi to runway 28 right. It looks like we got a little bit of traffic up ahead there. I'm guessing that's an Air Canada Jazz. Every now and then they fly into Pittsburgh. I haven't seen them too often though. And looks like he's already getting clearance, so let's go ahead and switch our tower frequency here. Oh, it's a Dash 8. Nice. Love the Dash 8. Been meaning to pick up a Dash 8 for X-Plane at some point in time. We'll see how that all works out, though. Okay, and there he goes. He is out of here. We're going to pull up a little bit closer to this hold short line. Brakes, brakes, and parking brake. There we go. Okay, so now comes the fun part. We get to actually see how well this bird flies.
Contact Pittsburgh departure on 124.75. Contact Pittsburgh departure on 124.75-37. Thanks for the help. Bye.
Alright, before I do anything else, let me go ahead and get my landing lights on. They need to come down 2 notches. Taxi light can go to landing lights. Ground floods, I believe we keep those on until we get up above like 18,000 feet or something along those lines. I forget what the rulebook actually says about that. But that should be everything that we need to do on the overhead. So, we'll call a tower real quick. And how did I get so far back? Oh, there it is. Pittsburgh Tower, Boeing 720 at runway 28 right, ready for departure, north departure.
Boeing 720 cleared for takeoff, runway 28 right, departure to the north approved.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 28 right, Boeing 720. Alrighty, folks. Here is where the magic happens. Also going to want to change my glare shield a little bit, so we'll set that to FMS. Set that to nav. Won't worry about the altitude for now. We can manually control that, but we have it listed on our CDU. Okay. No time like the present. Alright, one final check. Make sure everything checks out. Everything looks good. I should probably put the spoilers on armed, just in case they're needed. So there we go. Alrighty, folks. You know what it's time for. Brakes down, throttles up. We'll go full throttle. Okay, here we go. Airspeed's alive. Our V1's a little bit high, but that's okay. We're at V1, VR, V2. Okay, so let's request a Class B airspace transition. Pittsburgh departure, Boeing 720 is type Boeing 717, 3 miles west of Pittsburgh, 2,800. Request clearance to transition Bravo airspace.
3344, turn right heading 195, Boeing 720, Pittsburgh departure, squawk 6024.
Squawk 6024, Boeing 720.
Contact Akron, Kansas approach on 125.5, Boeing 720, identified 4 miles west of Pittsburgh, altitude 5,000 meters. Advisory, cleared through Bravo airspace.
Cleared through the Bravo airspace, Boeing 720. Okay, looking good. Let's go ahead and get the flaps up.
Turn right heading 255, descend and maintain altitude 3,000. Cleared ILS, runway 28, left approach, maintain altitude 3,000 until established on the localizer. Contact Pittsburgh Tower on 128.3.
Flaps are up.
Heading 255, descend and maintain Maintained altitude 3000, cleared ILS. Runway 28 left approach. Maintained altitude 3000 until established. Tower on 128.3. Yard 3344.
Yard 3341. Turn right heading 150.
Okay, everything so far is looking good. Autopilot is now engaged. I was slightly to the left, of course, but that is okay. We should be fine. Speed, we should be up to about 250-ish. And it should, in theory, hold us there. There we've got beautiful southwestern PA. I want to say that might be Findlayville down there.
Altitude.
Boeing 720, you're leaving my airspace. Radar service terminated. Squawk 1200. Frequency change approved.
Okay, good deal. So we have our altitude set for 10,000. As we make it around this turn, I'm going to keep it there. Squawk 1200, frequency change approved. Boeing 720.
Stabilizer motion.
Pittsburgh departure, Boeing 720 is type Boeing 717, 2 miles south of 80 Papa November. Request flight following.
Boeing 720, Pittsburgh departure, squawk 2354, yard 3341, turn right heading 195.
Squawk 2354, Boeing 720.
Boeing 720, radar contact 3 miles east of 7001, altitude 10,000, altimeter 2991.
Okay, altimeter's the same. Copy, Boeing 720. Alright, so now that we're up and running, let's go ahead and get our landing lights off, and then we'll get up to our cruise altitude. So, all of you guys, you're going off, and you are going off. Okay, good to go. Everything else looks fine. So then the next thing that we're going to want to do is change our altitude to 20,000. Oh, a little too much there. And let's get a nice rate of climb going here. Go up about 2,000 feet per minute. And the aircraft will handle the rest of it on its own.
Boeing 720, contact Cleveland Control Group 128.15.
Over to 128.15, Boeing 720. Goodbye. Cleveland Control, Boeing 720, with you.
Boeing 720, Cleveland Control, roger. Altimeter 2991.
Sounds good to me. Alright, so here we go. We are off to the races. And our next stop is going to be Namath, which it says we should be around 14.4 and change. Yeah, we're going up at a pretty decent clip, so yeah, we should be fine with that. Top of climb should be right before EWC, which as you can see on the ND is just to the right there. And it even says right there, flight level 200. So this aircraft is so well modeled. It handles perfectly. With the autopilot on, everything is pretty much kosher. And looks like we're about to make our turn to Elwood City. What airport is that down there? Is that Beaver? I do believe it is. That is Beaver Valley.
Contact Cleveland Control on 134.475.
Okay, we'll do. 134.475, Boeing 720. Cleveland Control, Boeing 720 with you, 13,500.
Boeing 720, Cleveland Control, roger. Altimeter 2991.
Okay, we've got a good climb speed going here. I basically do not have to touch the throttles anymore. The auto throttle is automatically engaged once we're in climb mode. So you can see it's just doing its throttly things. Go ahead and disarm the speed brakes. Alright, what are we at? 14.5. Yep, that's where we should be. EWC, we should be at flight level 191. It looks like we're making good time to get up there. I'm going to shallow our climb a little bit though, so we'll drop that down. We'll drop it down to about 1500. There we go. So by the time we come around this turn, we should be roughly at flight level 200. And the skies are looking perfect over Pennsylvania today. Beautiful, beautiful. So obviously the startup procedure took a pretty long time. As I said, this is a first look. This is really only my third time flying this aircraft. Fourth, if you count the FlyInside thing that I did at FlightSimCon. So obviously there's still a lot of work for me to really master these systems, but for somebody who hasn't flown an airliner in a flight sim for a very, very long time, I would say that I did pretty decent on that.
WestJet 1140, contact Cleveland Control at 126.725.
Alright, let me see. I don't think we're going to reach our top of climb with this, so I'm going to need to change that a bit more. Pull it back up to about 1800. There we go. And that should get us where we need to be. Luckily, the altimeter is not that far off from standard, so as soon as we pass by 18,000, I'll switch it to true 9.92, and then we'll also get those ground floodlights off. According to the manual, they should be off by 18,000 feet. Matter of fact, let me do that before I switch everything over to standard. So that's you and you. You are off. Very good. And we'll switch over to standard now to 9.92. Very nice. So we're almost to our cruise altitude. We should be there right about when we hit where it says on the ND. One thing I don't think I turned on was our TCAS. So let me just push that all the way to the right. So we do have the TCAS on. Weather.
Altitude.
We've got the weather on as well. I highly doubt we're going to run into any storms on our way to Canada, or, excuse me, to Niagara Falls. We're landing on the American side of the Niagara Falls. So yeah, we should be good to go. Beautiful, beautiful. So we can just sit back here and relax. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go to the outside view.
Cleveland Control should reach with you. Should reach Cleveland Control, roger.
Cleveland Control, WestJet 1140 with you, flight level 340.
WestJet 1140, Cleveland Control, roger. WestJet 1140, contact Cleveland Control at 128.45.
Contact Cleveland Control at 128.45. WestJet 1140, thanks for the help. Cleveland Control Delta 1024 with you.
Delta 1024, Cleveland Control, roger. Cleveland Control Delta 1529 with you. Flight level 340. Delta 1529, Cleveland Control, roger.
Cleveland Control, American 179er Penny with you.
American 179er Penny, Cleveland Control, roger.
Okay, everything's going smooth as silk. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Got a master caution light on. Select center pumps off. Oh, fuel. Okay, okay. Alright, let's go to the fuel. And let's see what's going on here. Oh, wow, we've got 10 pounds in the center tank. Alright, so in order to fix this, what we're going to need to do is turn our center pumps off. So the aft pump, click U off, and the forward pump, click U off, and that should get rid of that. There we go, master caution has disappeared. I did that deliberately, folks. I wanted to show you how this aircraft monitors all the systems in real time and will give you all the information that you need in order to fly this thing properly. If we ran into any emergencies or anything like that, all the affected systems are actually affected, and it will show you on the EADs and all the other displays what's going on. Since we're only going to Niagara Falls, I made sure to put a lot of fuel in the wing tanks, so we should be able to make it there with plenty to spare. But I just kind of wanted to demonstrate what happens if you start running low on fuel on one of the tanks, so that's why I did that way. Alright. So it looks like our next stop is the Erie VOR. We're about 4 miles out. Or excuse me, maybe that's minutes. I'm counting miles. I'm not counting minutes.
Traffic is 9 o'clock, 4 miles at flight level 300, Airbus A320, report them in sight.
Okay, there we go. It's 24.7 nautical miles and about 3 minutes out. Let me increase the range a little bit here. Okay, so our top of descent should be after Wella. So after Erie, we're going to be going to My Pal, which is just across Lake Erie. And then Wella should be shortly thereafter, and then we'll start our top of descent. Now, as far as our approach and everything goes, I do have approach plates for this. So I'll be pulling those up momentarily on our little knee board that we've been using, and you can see what we're going to need to do to get into Niagara Falls. Just checking all the systems here, making sure everything's correct. I did miss some of my checks. For example, I didn't do a fire test. In case you're curious, the fire test is done right here. It's right at the center here. Basically, you flip the left switch down and it'll go through all the motions and show you all the warnings and everything. Unfortunately, in my haste to try and get through everything in the startup sequence, I forgot that test, so don't hold it against me, please. All I know is we are making very good time here, so I'm really pleased with this. Really, really pleased with this. I cannot wait to see aircraft like this come to sims like Flight Sim World, because honestly, I think that is going to be tremendous. Okay, will do. Changing to 132.4, Boeing 720. Good day. Cleveland Control, Boeing 720 with you, flight level 200.
Boeing 720, Cleveland Control, roger.
Alright, good deal. But yeah, as I was saying, I would love to see, or I can't wait to see, when aircraft like this make it to sims like Flight Sim World. Especially with the new graphics engine and everything in there, it's gonna look pretty dang cool. I do not know, however, if TFDi plans on making, or if they've already made, a 717 for X-Plane. Jury's still out on that. I really haven't seen too much to do with TFDi as far as X-Plane goes. It looks like they're just FSX and P3D. But I think that would be really cool, too, if they put the time, effort, and energy into making something for that particular sim. I think they can knock it out of the park, personally, because they've done an outstanding job on this. As a matter of fact, as a result of my VR experience with FlyInside, I have definitely decided that I will be getting an Oculus Rift, so that is going to be my next major purchase this year. Once I get that, of course, you will all know about it.
Cleveland Control, roger. Eagle Flight 3689er, contact Cleveland Control at 120.775.
Okay, looks like we're beginning our bank.
120.775, Eagle Flight 3689er, bye-bye. Contact Cleveland Control at 120.
Okay, so you just saw the Erie Airport just below us, below the clouds there. So we are now over Lake Erie. According to our flight plan, we should skirt the south part of Ontario before turning right to get into Buffalo. Let's see how far away we are from our top of descent. About 12 minutes away, it says. Wow, so everything's going to happen really quickly here. So we've got 58 nautical miles to MyPal, and after MyPal, looks like it's about a minute away to Wella. At that point in time, we're going to start coming down. Even though it does say top of descent, it should be about 12 minutes after. I want to prepare myself for this. We'll bring it down to the altitudes that they're recommending there. So let's see, Buffalo, we should be at about 16,000. Rupke, we should be at 12,000 and a half. Eamon, we should be at 9,000. And in Cathy is where we're going to make the big drop. That we've got to get down to about 2,700. I believe the approach plate indicates that our approach altitude should be about 2,800. I know the airport elevation is about 579, so we'll adjust accordingly here. Alright, so let's go back to the outside view and see if we can take a look at Lake Erie under this cloud cover.
American 384 Cleveland Control, roger. Descend altitude 18,000, Air Canada 303.
Since we're getting ready to come in and start our top of descent, I figured I would show you the approach plate that I got from SkyVector for ILS runway 28 right. Now, if you recall, it said that we needed to be about 2,700 by the time we got to Cathy. We're going to change that slightly. We're actually going to go down to about 2,200 or maybe even 2,000. At which point in time, once I've got the runway in sight, we'll make sure our flaps are out, we'll make sure our speed brakes are armed, and we'll get the gear going. And then I will take this thing off of autopilot and hand fly it down to the deck. So it should be fun. It should be a lot of fun. Alright, let's see what we've got here. How are we doing on fuel, first off? 4170, 4185. Okay, looks like we're draining from the right tank a little bit more than the left, but that may have something to do with the APU. I believe it draws from that tank. I know some aircraft are like that. Alright, let's switch this to config. Okay, so that'll tell us what our stabilization is, what our trim is, and so on and so forth. I think we should be good to go on that. Anti-fog is on, no smoking seatbelts, very nice, very nice. 50 nautical miles from MyPal.
Over to 128.275, Air Canada 30355.
And it says about 12 minutes from top of descent, but we're going to adjust that. So I'm thinking once we hit Wella, I'll start coming down from Wella. Buffalo, we need to pass at about 16,000. We might change that. We might bring that down to about 14,000. But directly ahead, you are looking at Ontario, Canada. And off to that side should be New York. Beautiful Lake Erie. And looks like we got a few cloud tops over here, so I don't know if that means we've got a storm approaching. Seems to be in the direction that we're heading, so might actually get to give our weather radar a quick test here. I'm not seeing too much traffic on the TCAS. Actually, I don't see any traffic on there. Let me make sure that I have the TCAS set properly here. Yep, it's at TARA, which is where it should be. I'm kind of curious what this map does here. Let's switch that. Doesn't look like it does anything. Either that or I just don't have an idea as to what it does. So we'll put it back to WX, which of course is short for weather. Alright, why are we speeding up here? Okay, we're going around the turn. Not a problem. Not a problem. Oh wow, look at that. Okay, we're gonna have to look from the outside of this. Okay, looks like we're overflying Wella right now, so let's go ahead and begin our descent. We're going to bring it down to about 14,000 when we pass Buffalo. Already the engine's starting to compensate. This is good. We'll start with a nice gentle descent. I'm going to put my throttle to idle, even though I really don't need to move it. Because of course the auto throttle is taking care of it. But that'll start us coming down.
Cleveland Control, Eagle Flight 3699, descent flight level 189, climbing flight level 240. Eagle Flight 3699, Cleveland Control, roger.
And you can see directly ahead there is Buffalo Airport.
Contact Toronto Control on 128.275.
Contact Toronto Control on 128.275. Eagle Flight 3699, thanks for the help. Cleveland Control, Eagle Flight 3599, with you, flight level 370.
Eagle Flight 3599, Cleveland Control, roger.
Okay, we are now overflying Buffalo, and let's set up our next altitude. 9,400. Alright, so we'll bring that down a little bit more than that.
Eagle Flight 3657, Cleveland Control, roger. Altimeter 29991.
Bring it down to about 7,000.
3657, traffic is 9 o'clock, 1 mile at 17,900. On the air, RJ, report them in sight. Eagle Flight 3657, flight level 250.
Climb and maintain flight level 250, Eagle Flight 3657.
Okay, now our speed should be about 245 by the time we reach Eamon. We're just about to hit Rupke now. Kathy, we should be at about 2776, so you know what? I'm going to bring this down even further. We saw on the approach plate we should be about 2200, so that's where I'm going to take us down to. Now, one thing I haven't yet done is I haven't called for a landing. So let's see if we can find the airport now. Go back.
Phone 720, contact Cleveland Control on 125.875.
Oh, will do. 125.875 for Boeing 720. And it's actually giving me Buffalo approach. Lovely. Buffalo approach, Boeing 720 with you. 1,100.
Boeing 720, Buffalo approach, roger. Altimeter 2988.
Totally messed that one up. 11,800 is what I meant to say. But luckily he knows what I was thinking there. So we'll set our altimeter to 29.88. And we'll go back to nearest airport list. And let's see if we can find Niagara. We're probably not going to see it until we actually turn around. Okay, we are, however, at 10,000, so now would be a great time to put the landing lights on. Get our ground floods on.
602 Fjord 18 miles south, turn right heading 025, descend and maintain 2,300. ILS, runway 5, approach, maintain 2,300 until established on the local list. Contact Buffalo Tower on 120.5.
Okay, so far everything's looking good.
Descend and maintain 2,300. Clear ILS, runway 5, approach, maintain 2,300 until established. Tower on 120.5, JetBlue 2602.
Still no sign of our airport as of yet, but I'm thinking once we turn around to get to final, we'll see it. I am, however, going to put the speed brakes out because we're going a little too fast below 10,000 feet here. Okay, so that'll keep us around 250 or just a little bit shy of it. So we'll go ahead and put the speed brakes back in. Okay, speed brakes are back in. We're basically making our turn for an extended final leg here. We're at 7,000. We should be able to get that airport now.
16, climb and maintain flight level 210. Climb flight level 210, JetBlue 1216.
Not sure why it's not popping up on the list here.
JetBlue 1216, contact Rochester approach on 123.7. Over 2123.7, JetBlue 1216, thanks, bye-bye.
Buffalo approach, Wisconsin 3.
Oh, what am I thinking? I've got the approach.
Descending altitude 8,000.
Radio frequencies should be the same.
Approach, roger, altimeter 2986.
Alright, Niagara Tower is 118.5. Let's see if we can do this here. 118.5. That's why you always travel with your approach plates, folks. Okay, let's see if that worked. Oh, probably have to go back here. Oh, wow. It does not appear that that frequency is correct. Huh. Alright, let's get back to Buffalo approach. Okay, okay. I don't know what I missed. Changing to 126.5, Boeing 720. Good day. Alright, let's go ahead and start getting some flaps down here. Buffalo approach, Boeing 720 with you, 3,900.
Boeing 720, Buffalo approach, roger, altimeter 298.
Thank you. Alright, we gotta find this airport here. Whenever I press 9 for airports further out, it actually changes my Easy Dock settings there. So that's why that's happening.
Altitude.
Yeah, we should be able to get this airport now because we are like right there. We're literally right there. Okay, what's our speed looking like? We need more flaps. Okay, speed brakes can now come off. Matter of fact, we'll arm the speed brakes. Where the hell is Niagara? Oh, there it is, number 5. Okay, gotcha, sucker. And full stop landing. Niagara Tower, Boeing 720 is 10 miles east with Quebec to land.
Boeing 720, Niagara Tower, intercept downwind, runway 10 left, altimeter 2990.
Oh, hell no, that ain't happening. Can we pick a different runway? No, we cannot. Okay, I'm going to acknowledge this, but, yeah, we're going to hand fly this sucker. Enter left traffic, runway 10 left, Boeing 720.
Stabilizer motion.
Okay, do I still have the speed brakes out? I don't think I do. Alright, so let's focus on landing here. Since they basically messed up my entire plan, I am going to need to come off the autopilot and land this sucker manually. So let's see what we've got for flaps here. Flaps are set to 13. We can probably come down some more. While we're at it, we'll get the gear out. Okay, so the gear is out. I don't know what our landing speed is going to be. Unfortunately, I did not check that in the CDU. That's just another thing that I missed there. But we are going to take this manually, so I am going to take us off of autopilot, which is the little yellow button.
Autopilot.
There we go. Just click it twice, and this sucker is now under manual control. So they want us to pull left traffic to get in. So here's how we're going to do that. We're going to swing out to the right a little bit. We'll keep it stable around 2200. We'll actually get to overfly Niagara Falls and then come in the opposite way around. Alright, so that will be the plan, man. Quick look outside as we pass the airport here. Okay, we are gaining in altitude here. I'm not liking that, so let me push us down just a touch here. Or actually, we still have a bunch of trim going, so lower the trim.
Stabilizer motion.
Yes, I know, Betty. I'm moving the stabilizers. Yes, this is fine.
Stabilizer
oh,
motion.
good Lord, Betty, leave me the hell alone. And she's gonna say it again. Watch.
Stabilizer
Called
motion.
that one. Okay, so there is Niagara Falls Airport. This is our destination, of course. And we're roughly stable where we should be, about 2200-ish. Well, more like 2300. But that's where we're going to be landing, the longer of the two runways. There is no blast pad on the other side, so yeah, I gotta basically time this sucker perfectly. But we're going to swing out a little bit more to the right. And seem to be holding speed well, so I'm going to leave the throttles exactly where they are. And we'll do like a teardrop approach where we might even be able to see Niagara Falls on the way in. That's actually it up ahead. You'll see all the mist and everything. We'll get a closer look though, I promise you that. I'm going to go over this lake here, and then we will make our left-hand turn to come in. Of course, we'll probably already get clearance to land because that's just the way FSX ATC works.
Boeing 720, cleared to land, runway 10
Like clockwork, baby. Like clockwork. Clear to land, runway 10 left, Boeing 720. Except we're not landing just yet. We're going to go for a little sightseeing tour as we bring this bird in. There's a little bit of turbulence, though. Wow, that's interesting. Oh, wow. I've actually got to have my yoke a little to the right here. Okay, so that lake I think is actually a reservoir. It's where the hydroelectric dam is that powers this region. Because unlike where I live, they don't rely on nuclear power. They prefer to do hydroelectric, which honestly is cleaner. But there you go, folks. We can get a better view of Niagara Falls. And I'm going to go just past the river, the Niagara River, and make our turn to the left. So we should be able to see it on the right-hand side on our way in. Okay, we still got enough positive trim, but I'm going to bring us down a bit. Speed is still holding steady. Okay, so we're closing in on 2200. There's a little cable car that goes across the gorge there. I'm giving you the tour guide here as I'm trying to come in. Okay, flaps, what are you looking at? We still got more flaps. Okay, we'll hold off on the flaps until we get into position here. And speaking of which, let's make our left turn. I'm gonna go outside for this one, folks. Okay, we're not quite lined up, but we're going to work on that right now. Let's go ahead and get some more flaps out. And did I remember to arm the speed brakes? Yes, they are armed. Okay, we're good to go. Let's line up. We actually lost a little bit of altitude here, but I'm okay with this. Alright, speed. What are we doing here for speed? Oh, now we're too high. Holy crap. Okay, so this would have been a hell of a lot better if I would have come in on runway 28 right like I originally wanted, but unfortunately, that is not an option. So we'll bring it in the old-fashioned way. And our last notch of flaps. Oh, it's already on. Okay, good deal. Good deal. So, folks, welcome to Niagara Falls, New York. And, of course, it wouldn't be a BelGeode flight unless we go outside. Alright, and we are down. I realized I was a little bit low on that landing, but you know what? I think we did a good job. So let's go ahead and get everything put away. And let's see if I can make my turn off here. I'm pretty sure we actually park on the other side.
Contact ground on 121.7.
Thank you. Over to 121.7, Boeing 720. Goodbye. We won't be doing that, by the way. So another thing that this airport is famous for, it's got B-52s. Woohoo! Look at that. So we're just going to pull up right next to one of them puppies and park the angry pup right there. Okay, now we can get our flaps in. Okay, let's see what it looks like from the outside. Alright, just turned off the landing lights as well. And I'm thinking we can park right next to this buff. I'm sure he won't mind. There we go. This is our parking spot right here, folks. I think right there should do the trick. Yep, we'll line up because I'm a perfectionist. There we go. Alrighty, folks. So, like I said, welcome to Niagara Falls, New York. We made it in a brand new aircraft that I'm still mostly unfamiliar with, the TFDi 717. And now that we're in place, let's go ahead and start getting some stuff turned off really quickly, and we can call this episode done. Alright, cut the fuel. Okay, so both engines should be powering down. Now we should also be on emergency power, so that should pop up there. So while I'm waiting for that, let me go ahead and get the ground power unit back on, and the ground air. We can also open our front door and our luggage compartment, put our cones back out and our wheel chocks, and yay. Fun stuff, fun stuff. Okay, did my flaps go all the way up? I guess they did. Yes. Alright, I'm not sure why the air system's on. That's one thing that I still have not yet learned, so we're not even going to worry about it. Okay. Taxi lights, we'll turn you off. Get that off, get that off. Beacon, we can now turn you off. Nav lights, we're going to turn you off in a second, but first let's let our passengers get up. Turn the fuel pumps off. Bleeds can go off. Isolation valve open. Packs off. And ground power, we'll turn you on. Generators off. Turn our navs off. Won't need those. Let's see. What else did I turn on that needs to be turned off? Anti-ice. Yep. Okay. I think that's about everything, really. Well, maybe these pedestal lights and panel lights here. We'll turn those off. Okay, so we're currently running on external power. let's just do one more cursory glance to make sure that everything is pretty much shut down as it should be. CDUs we're not going to worry about. Glare shield stuff we're not going to worry about. Everything else is pretty much set to go. Alright, so then the last thing that I can do at this point in time, turn off the emergency power, and we'll turn off the battery. So there we go. And I don't know why that window is still on. There's something up with that. Might be a bug. Could be a bug. Could be a bug. But with that having been said, I would say we are pretty much done. So here we go, folks. This is the TFDi 717, which is available for purchase for FSX Boxed, FSX Steam, Prepared version 2, Prepared version 3, and also Prepared version 4. Should be coming really, really soon. It is my hope that they're also going to eventually make it for Flight Sim World, and maybe even X-Plane 11. That would be awesome. But I'm just about done, so if you have enjoyed what you have seen today, please feel free to give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe. This has been BelGeode flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator X Steam Edition. And this has been a first look at the TFDi 717. Sincerely hope you enjoyed it, folks. I will talk with you all later, so ciao!